Welcome to the Pursuit of Prevention podcast. My name is Bailey French, a Purdue-trained nutritional scientist and nutrition counselor, and today you will walk away from this episode with some tools to help improve your health. Because around here, we believe that you are not defined by your family health history. You can enhance your DNA and leave a new legacy of wellness for your family. If you are ready to take control of your health and win back the confidence that comes from knowing that each day you are preventing the illnesses that run in your family, you've come to the right place. Let's get started.
Hello, friend, and welcome back to the Pursuit of Prevention podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about one very specific Super Bowl commercial from this past weekend. And before we get started, if you do not yet follow me on Facebook or Instagram, and you are not currently watching on YouTube, I also got engaged this past weekend. My fiance, Tyler, proposed. We will have been together 4 years this coming April. And we are just so grateful for all of you that have already reached out and congratulated us, cheered us on, sent us your love. It was the most perfect and special weekend. I was incredibly surprised. For all of you wondering, he did a fantastic job. The ring is beautiful, and if I do say so myself, it looks absolutely perfect on me. So a little bit of fun side note, we were able to really just totally unplug from phones and spend some really sweet time just being together. And we were also visiting with his brother and sister-in-law in North Carolina at the beach, which is where we also watched the Super Bowl this year. It was Chiefs versus Philadelphia Eagles. Not a great game. Have some thoughts about that, but that's not why you're here today. You are here to talk about some health things, and you might be wondering which Super Bowl commercial I am specifically talking about. Some of you may have guessed. Today we're going to dive into the Get Real About Diabetes commercial, the one with Anthony Anderson. So Anthony Anderson is an actor. He is, I believe, a comedian. He's really funny. And this commercial this past weekend, we're going to stop and I'm going to play the very end of it right now so that you can get a little memory jog, or if you haven't seen it, at least get a taste of what it was. I'm going to link in the show notes to the full commercial and video, but the end of it was rather striking. So let's take a little brain rewind right here.
As someone living with type 2 diabetes, I want to keep it real and talk about some risks. With type 2 diabetes, you have up to 4 times greater risk of stroke, heart attack, or death. Even at your A1c goal, you're still at risk, which if ignored could bring you here. May put you in one of those, or even worse. Too much? That's the point. Get real about your risks and do something about it. Talk to your healthcare provider about ways to lower your risk of stroke, heart attack, or death. Learn more at getrealaboutdiabetes.com.
Intense. That was a pretty intense, even just the very end really gets your attention, makes you lean in. And if you have type 2 diabetes or you have a family risk of developing type 2 diabetes, you probably were a little bit on edge and maybe went to that website and got a little bit scared because of the real true risk of what can happen when you are living with type 2 diabetes. Now, here are the facts. You are more likely to develop a heart attack, atherosclerosis, stroke when you have diabetes. You are also more likely to develop an autoimmune condition when you have diabetes. You are also more prone to some specific types of cancer when you have diabetes. You are more prone to getting infection, things like MRSA, staph, gangrene, that can lead to needing to amputate a limb or even death. These things are really serious complications. And I personally, as a nutrition counselor who works with people that have diabetes or are up against pre-diabetes, I thought it was really good. Now, everything that I've been taught about marketing says, you should touch on people's pain points, but not lean into it too much, really paint the solution for their problem, which I absolutely agree. And it really does work so well. truth be told, that's why we're here today, so that I can offer you some solutions so that you don't have to be scared and in that place of wondering what your next steps are. But there is also value, quite obviously, based on this Super Bowl commercial, in really just getting very real with you. I think this comes from a lot of time spent sugarcoating things, especially weight loss programs and health professionals. Speaking as one myself, it can be really scary to go on that harsh side of the line and really sort of wake people up. It doesn't feel good to be told something hard. It doesn't feel good to be told, hey, you need to get yourself together or you could die from a heart attack next month. Like, that doesn't feel good. I don't want to scare people. And I never ever want people to come and work with me because they feel like they have absolutely no other choice. What would be the preferred way of things happening would be someone realizing, hey, okay, this is a risk. I know that I'm not doing exactly what I need to do. I need some help. I need someone that's going to come alongside me, really cheer me on, give me the accountability that I need. I trust Bailey. I like what she stands for. I appreciate that she's not going to make me cut out any foods and be miserable in order to avoid these potentially catastrophic things that come along with having diabetes. So that's why I want to work with her. If you don't feel that way, I would highly encourage you to check out my Instagram that is in the show notes of this episode. That is where you can connect with me a little bit more and really get a feel for, are we going to be a good fit? Can I offer you the level of care and accountability and support that you need? Or can I connect you with someone else that is a better fit for you? One really, really cool thing about being in the healthcare space is that I know a lot of other healthcare professionals and I trust and love a lot of other healthcare professionals, and something that I'm not really very humble about because other people don't have this gift. And I think it's incredibly important is that I know when to say no, when a client is not a good fit, and when I will not be the best use of their hard-earned money. A good example, I do not work with people who are in active eating disorder recovery because that is one, not where my expertise is. My training is in the science of food, how to prevent things like cancer, diabetes, autoimmune conditions, and heart conditions. So that knowledge is just a little bit different than the knowledge on how to help people get through an active eating disorder. The other reason for that is simply because that is not where my passion lies. And I would be not serving you as a client well if I was doing something to make money on it, but it wasn't my passion and it's not where I am committed and excited to go do continuing research, like looking into this commercial about diabetes, do the continuing research of what's working, what's going to help you, in this case, get through that active eating disorder or the recovery of that eating disorder. Whereas with diabetes, heart disease, cancer, autoimmune conditions, I get excited. I can't go longer than a week without researching something new, finding the next best thing that is in research labs that we're working on as a science community. And so that is where you will be best served. So to round this out here, I know when to say, hey, like, this is not my wheelhouse. I cannot serve you well. But thankfully, I do have lots of friends, lots of colleagues that can serve you well because this is where their passion is. This is what they are studying. And really, you as one person are the only person that they care about, just like every single person that comes to me with pre-diabetes, with a parent that has or had cancer, and they want to get their health on track. They are the one person in that moment that matters to me in the whole wide world. So that is incredibly important when you're looking for a provider. But what I want to do today for you is give you 3 really valuable tips that you can start doing now if you saw this commercial on Sunday and got a little bit nervous. You know that your A1c is not where it should be. You know that your blood glucose is not exactly where it should be. You know that you're having sugar crashes throughout the day and you're not feeling your best. If that's where you're at right now, today you're going to leave with 3 things that you can start doing to feel a little bit better. But first, let's take a quick peek into this campaign, this commercial, where it came from and why. So this campaign is actually called Get Real About Diabetes. It is, again, kind of sponsored, promoted, pushed forward by Anthony Anderson, who is a celebrity. And quite honestly, this is a really good use of celebrity marketing because it is someone that we have all seen before. We know who he is, and it really puts a face with the struggle, right? If you have ever seen someone that has type 2 diabetes, especially loved someone that has type 2 diabetes, it is a constant battle of the next thing. It's not that you just have type 2 diabetes, it's that you have type 2 diabetes and now you're not responding to your insulin anymore. It's that you have type 2 diabetes and you get a scratch or a cut on your arm or leg, and all of a sudden you're in the hospital with a severe infection that your body can't fight off. It's the fact that you have diabetes, one day you have chest pain, and then you are in the ER, thankfully, when you're having a heart attack, and they save your life. So this campaign, Get Real About Diabetes, is a great start, a great, fantastic start in the fight against chronic illness to show people that you don't have to be alone, that there is a way to really move through this disease. And truth be told, there is a way for you to reduce your medication and sometimes even reverse type 2 diabetes with the help of medication, food, one or the other, a lot of times both. The problem here is that doctors are trained to diagnose you and give you a medication to treat that diagnosis. That is their job. Their job is not to tell you what diet to follow, what foods to eat. Most of them, yes, will logically tell you, hey, you should eat a little bit healthier. You should cut out some fat and sugar from your diet. Okay, great. How do I do that? They are not trained to give you those specific tips and tools and tricks. So, side note here, we should not be expecting them to do that. However, to put some of that responsibility back on them, they should have, as, a good ethical healthcare practitioner, they should have a nutritionist, a dietitian, a nutrition professional that they know and trust to refer you to. They should have someone that you can go to get those types of recommendations. The problem is just that most of them don't have that connection. They don't necessarily have the time to go and seek out that connection. And so you, as the patient, can tend to get a little bit lost in the sea of, well, my doctor told me this thing, I see this other thing on the internet, but I don't know who I can go to for help. So today we're gonna bridge that gap just a teensy bit. Now, that commercial, the campaign, is put out by a company called Novo Nordisk, which is a pharmaceutical company. They do research, they do drug development, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. There is, of course, a lot of, how shall we say, controversy, contempt in the world of pharmaceuticals. Today is not the day for my personal opinion on the vast majority of them. What I can say is that what Novo Nordisk is doing really well is bringing light to such a serious issue that plagues so many people. There are currently about 34 million people living with type 2 diabetes that, by and large, is a treatable condition. It does not ever have to happen. About 10% of type 2 diabetes cases are related to genetics. 90% of them are preventable entirely with diet and lifestyle choices. Now, that's not to say that if you have type 2 diabetes, that you have done everything wrong. It is to say that you have not been taught the right things. This was not something that we learned in elementary and middle school, even high school. We did not have a health class that said, hey, here are the foods that can lead to an increased risk of diabetes. Here are the foods that can lead to a decreased risk of type 2 diabetes. So it's not your fault. There is an incredibly large lack of education and communication when it comes to chronic illness specifically in the US education system. So with that incredibly large number of people that have type 2 diabetes, 34 million is a lot. And then this company, Novo Nordisk, bringing light, bringing some reality to the gravity of the situation, because it can be life or death. Complications of diabetes can be fatal, as showcased by this commercial. So the research that they are doing is good. They are a huge supplier of insulin. The more suppliers that we have for insulin, the less the cost of insulin can be. So as a company, they are at least doing some things right. I have not gone on a deep dive of this company, so I can't speak to the entirety of, their mission, what they're doing behind the scenes, all of that stuff. What I can say is that they are doing some things right simply by offering you a little bit of education and a little bit of a wake-up call, realistically, a little bit of a wake-up call with the commercial from Super Bowl 57 this past Sunday. Now, if you are someone that either has type 2 diabetes, has prediabetes, or you've gotten some blood work back saying, hey, your A1c is high, your fasting blood sugar is a little bit higher than we'd like to see it, this is where you really need to listen in, because we're going to go into 3 things that you can start doing today to decrease your risk of diabetes and or reduce the amount of medication that you need to help your body do what it is supposed to do, which is produce insulin, better regulate your blood sugar so that you not only feel better and have more energy, but at the end of the day, you may be able to bring those numbers down in your blood work. And if you have type 2 diabetes, if you are not insulin dependent already, there might be a way for you to reduce the amount of insulin that you need on a day-to-day basis. Number 1, drink more water. Drink more water. If you think about how blood sugar works, sugar comes into your bloodstream by food, enters your bloodstream. If there's a lot of sugar in a meal, especially first thing in the morning, aka sugary breakfast plus coffee equals huge blood sugar spike, water can help dilute the amount of sugar that is in your bloodstream. Just like water can dilute paint, dye, flavor, it can work the same way inside of your bloodstream. So making sure that you are getting enough water for your body, a really good place to start is half your body weight in ounces of water each day. So as someone that weighs 150 pounds, I need about 75 plus ounces of water per day. 75 ounces is where I start. Now, for reference here, a gallon of water is 128 ounces of water. So that is more than my body needs. I do exercise regularly. I sweat when I exercise. I move a lot throughout the day. So depending on what that looks like, I will drink a lot more water. I try to not drop below 75 ounces per day. Am I perfect every single day? Of course not. And honestly, it's kind of a lot. 75 ounces is 3 of these plus a little bit extra. I do try and have a glass in the morning before I do anything else. I get up, I have a glass of water on my bedstand or nightside table, and then I really aim to do 3 of these every single day. It doesn't always happen like that. Days like today, it was 1 o'clock and I realized I had not had any water yet. So this guy is my first one and it is 3:15. So I've got some catch up to do. I'm also going to work out. So I've got a lot of catch up to do. It's not going to be perfect every day. What you can do is make a commitment to working up to that. If you're only drinking 1 bottle, can, tumbler, whatever of water per day, and you know that you need more, make a goal for 2. Make a goal for 1.5. Start small and work your way up. The other side of this coin is don't automatically go for a goal that's not created for you. If you do not weigh a whole lot, or if you are really very muscular and that's where a lot of your body weight comes from, that is why I weigh 150 pounds, because I am very muscular. I have really strong legs, really strong core. I weigh more and I don't look like I weigh 150 pounds. I still need a good bit of water. I don't need a gallon of water a day. Just because someone on the internet said it's healthy does not mean that that is the right amount of water for me or for you. Okay. So start with about half your body weight in ounces per day. If you are nowhere near that, slowly gauge it up. Try and drink, 8 more ounces every day until you get to that goal. Number 2, pair your meals with thought. Did you know that there is a scientifically proven method for eating for diabetes? Now, I teach you this method inside of Food Fights Diabetes, which is my signature course to help prevent and reverse symptoms of type 2 diabetes. But this proven method is really just about thinking ahead on what you're going to eat. So it's not stopping at the closest gas station and grabbing whatever you can. It's not stopping at Chick-fil-A every day just because it sounds good and it's on your way to or from work. It is thinking ahead about what you're going to prepare for yourself. And on an even deeper level, it is really thinking about being incredibly mindful of what specific foods you're going to prepare, how you are going to change them up day to day, week to week to really support your gut health. Your pancreas is in your abdomen, in your core, which is right next to your guts, your colon, your small intestine, large intestine. It's really silly when people say that there is no connection between any body part, because literally, physically, you are connected head to toe. That is what makes you a human being, right? There are things that connect your tippy top of your head all the way down to your toes. And so those two organs that are very close to each other inside of your belly are also very closely connected. So really thinking about diet diversity that helps support your gut health is really going to help your blood sugar become more stabilized and actually increase the health of your pancreas so that it can do what it's supposed to do. And then tip number 3 is going to be focus in on your hormones. Again, with this concept that everything is connected, your hormones play a huge role in type 2 diabetes. Insulin itself is a hormone. There are multiple hormones that are a part of the diabetes process, the blood sugar process, every single time that you eat food. One of them that is very influential is cortisol. And if you've been around here a minute, you know that cortisol is your stress hormone. So if you've never heard it before, confirmed, stress plays a role on developing type 2 diabetes. When your body has high levels of cortisol from chronic stress, the body is not able to do basic bodily functions like process sugar, send it where it's supposed to go, and keep your pancreas functioning in a healthy manner. Now, Bailey, how can I reduce cortisol? I'm so glad you asked. I am so glad you asked because, my friend, it is really very simple, and there are other things that you can do besides just the unhelpful tips of get more sleep, don't stress about things, and try and relax. I get it. I hear you, but sometimes those are just not helpful. If you're anything like me, some days it's just really hard to control those emotions and not feel overwhelmed and stressed out. So on those days, what you can do is, on top of your water, this is not a replacement for, but it is an addition to, you can add in something called a mineral mocktail. So mineral mocktails are going to be drinks that include potassium, sodium, and magnesium. The 3 of those are electrolytes. They are fuel, they are food for your adrenal glands, which are things that sit on top of your kidney. They are responsible for cortisol. So when we break it all down, we strip it all away. If you are constantly stressed, your adrenals are under pressure to create cortisol, because that's what happens when the body is stressed. And if your adrenal glands are not getting refueled with potassium, sodium, and magnesium, they are releasing cortisol. Essentially, they're pouring from an empty cup, right? They are not fueled up, they are not filled up, but they're still producing, they're still running in overdrive. This is where things like adrenal fatigue, gut issues, skin issues, things like this start to arise, because you are robbing Peter to pay Paul. You are taking energy, thought, cells away from the process of blood sugar regulation, away from the process of digestion, away from even the process of thought. You're robbing from them to pay your adrenal glands so that they can produce cortisol because you're stressed out. So don't hear what I'm not saying. It is incredibly important to find what works for you to reduce stress. If that is moving your body, if it is sitting outside and letting the sun hit your face for a couple minutes, if it's getting up at lunchtime, taking a lap around the building, a quick walk, going to your car and sitting and doing some breath work, whatever that means to you, however you can bring your blood pressure down, bring your heart rate down, increase your respiration rate, really fill your lungs up with air, feel how it feels to be alive, that can reduce your level of stress, and that is incredibly important. Some of you have a really high stress job and you have kids at home and sleep is hard. Shutting off the phones and the TVs 30 minutes to an hour before bed can be really helpful. Switching out some light bulbs to have a warmer light instead of blue light throughout your home can be really helpful for melatonin production, which can help you fall asleep quicker and stay asleep longer, get deeper, more restful sleep. There are other, of course, outside things that you can do. Things like flotation therapy are incredibly helpful for sleep. 1 hour in a float tank with total sensory deprivation is equivalent to about 4 hours of deep REM sleep. So if you know that you don't get 4 hours of deep REM sleep every night, finding a float spa where you can go and sit in a float tank might be really helpful for you if these other things don't work for reducing your stress or inducing sleep. So all of those things are incredibly important, but something that you can do, you have control over this, you likely have all of the ingredients in your kitchen already to make this, is that mineral mocktail. A very, very basic recipe for that is going to be a splash of orange juice, about 4 ounces, about 6 to 8 ounces of coconut water, and a pinch of salt. Now, with the salt, it does need to be not iodized salt. You want Himalayan salt or Celtic real salt, mineralized salt. There are tons of different options. I will link a few in the show notes if you've never heard of things like this before. But what you really want to do is have that source of sodium, which is the salt. Potassium comes from the orange juice. Magnesium and potassium come from the coconut water. Now you can play around with this. You can do different flavors. You can add in different types of seltzer water on top to enhance the flavor, especially if you don't like coconut water. I run into that a lot with clients. The flavor of the coconut water gets diluted or even masked by different types of seltzer water if you like that. And if you wanted to change the juice, what you really want to look for is something that is high in potassium, just like orange juice is. Okay, so there are different options for that, but orange juice is going to be the go-to that we know and love has potassium in it. So I hope those were helpful for you. Those are the 3 tips to help you start preventing or reversing symptoms of diabetes today. Drink more water, about half your body weight in ounces per day. Pair your food thoughtfully, very mindfully. Don't leave mealtime up to choice. And if you need help with this, following the proven method inside of Food Fights Diabetes could be a really good fit for you. It not only gives you meal plans that follow this proven method, but it teaches you how to utilize the method when you're eating out at restaurants so that after your time within the program is finished, you will have that foundational 4-step process to building a plate that prevents diabetes. And then finally, incorporating that mineral mocktail. 1 a day is fantastic. 3 times a week at the very least For the amount of time that Americans have been stressed out and not replenishing their bodies well, 3 a week is the very least that you can do for your body to really just help refresh, restore, and you'll notice, it's incredible the amount of difference that can come in your skin health, in your gut health, really in your mood and energy and emotion when you start incorporating things like these mineral mocktails. So I hope that these tips were helpful for you today. I encourage you to do some more research on this campaign, on type 2 diabetes itself. And if you are really at a point right now where you're up against the wall, you got some blood work back that was not great, you're not feeling well, you are dragging after 3 p.m., you're constantly tired, you're constantly moody in the morning, and then when you get home and you're not really able to be present with the person that you love or your children, your family, this is a good next step for you. A lot of times these hormones that play into insulin resistance, prediabetes, type 2 diabetes can be an underlying cause of a lot of these symptoms that we've come to be told are common and normal. There is a better way, and a lot of these tools can be found inside of Food Fights Diabetes, which is an at your own pace course, and you can get it now today in the show notes. You can start whenever you want. It is a rolling enrollment course, which means that you can start as early as next Monday, getting yourself back on track so that by the start of May, you might see a little bit of a looser fit in your jeans. But what's really going to happen is that you are going to have so much more energy to play with your kids and be present with your partner, just like Tyler and I had that really present time this weekend when we got engaged. Those are where the memories are made, and that can happen simply by investing just 8 weeks in really focusing in on your health and following a simple, scientifically proven method to improve your hormones so that your body can do what it was designed to do. As always, if you have any questions about this episode or about the Food Fights Diabetes course, please reach out. The contact information is in the show notes. My phone number, you can always call or text, reach out on Instagram or Facebook DM, or submit an inquiry on our website to work together. You can also get a match. There is a quick little quiz that you can take to make sure that Food Fights Diabetes is the right next step for you, because an investment of your time, brain power, and money is worth making sure that it is a really good fit and that you are going to get exactly what you need out of the program. I'm super proud of you for being here today, for investing this past 30-ish minutes into your health, into learning about your body. Hope that these tips were helpful. If you have other questions or topics that you want covered on the Pursuit of Prevention podcast, feel free to reach out and let us know. We will see you in just a couple of weeks. I hope that you had a fantastic Super Bowl weekend, a wonderful Valentine's Day, that you feel so loved and cared for because you are. I will see you soon, my friend.
Thank you for being a part of this conversation today. By sharing with just one friend, you are not only showing the people that you love that you care about them, but you are helping this message that healthy does not have to be so hard reach hundreds of other people. Be sure to check out the show notes and visit www.bewellhwc.com for more information and to subscribe to the show so that you get notified every time there is a new episode available for you to learn more health tips and help you achieve your healthiest self. I cannot wait to sit down and chat with you again so soon. Until then, stay well.